Boy, it's Thursday the 3rd of October. I'm going to do a pre-birthday shout out to my older brother. Won't reveal his age, but it's his birthday tomorrow, so I just want to give a quick shout out to him. And I also want to give a shout out to a friend of mine whose son may jump on board and have a look tonight. His son is, how could you say it, he's from the dark side. He's an Xbox user apparently, but he may jump on to YouTube tonight and have a look at what I'm doing with this broadcast. And so I want to say g'day to him, Tony and his son. Okay, so tonight what I thought I would do, because I haven't been on the air for a week, and I'll tell you, well, roughly a week. I haven't been on, I got back on Monday night because I actually had my account blocked for a week by the wise moderators at Sony. Of course, I did try to protest. I did try to publicly make my views known about why I was blocked, and they basically didn't post my post on their Facebook page, so I certainly take the opportunity now. I want to firstly say that I'm a long time Sony PlayStation customer. I think I bought my first PlayStation 1 about 2 months after they launched in Australia. In actual fact, my ex-wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, but we were together in a relationship, and she actually went and bought it for me. So, and I've bought every single PlayStation since, and I've been a Gran Turismo customer since Gran Turismo 1, which wasn't even called Gran Turismo 1 from memory, it's just called Gran Turismo. So, I'm a long-time customer, long-time user, and basically the moderators at Sony suspended my account for the use of inappropriate language. Now, that use of inappropriate language was reported by the person that I used the inappropriate language towards. Now, I want to talk a bit about this because the moderators are acting on policies that have been created by Sony to, and I will quote their words here, I won't perhaps quote them in the exact sentence, but I'll quote these words: decency, respect, and fairness. Now, so on the one hand, they've turned around and they've blocked me because they feel that I compromised those words in their terms and conditions of how they expect players to behave on the Sony PlayStation network. However, what those words actually mean is that anybody who does anything whilst on the game that is not in the spirit of decency, in the spirit of fairness, should also be blocked. That includes people that jump on the game and drive their cars into other people, smash them off the road, particularly if they're in a race or they're doing some kind of competitive activity in the game, because that's what Gran Turismo Sport is all about. And further to that point, if Sony did exercise and police that true meaning of those words, then the person that reported me would actually be banned for life, because what he did was far worse than what I did, because he was the one that initiated the action, not me. So for Sony moderators, what you need to do is you need to apply much greater context and truly live by your words, and ban the people that cause the good members like me to not need to react that way. And what I mean by context is if they went and looked at my Sony PlayStation Network use, they would see that I clock up hours and hours and hours every week. And they would also see that if they looked at those hours and hours and hours of play every week, they would see virtually no use of indecent, foul, or crude language. Because I don't. I don't need to unless somebody else does the wrong thing to me during the game, because that person is not respecting the rules of the PlayStation Network. So Sony, you need to open your eyes a bit, take the blinkers away, and understand what makes good users like me, who do act as advocates for your game through our broadcasts, and understand who we are, and then go and look at the reasons why we may have had the need to behave and say something to somebody when they are in fact the ones doing the wrong thing. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Now, what I wanted to do tonight was start to take you through all of the liveries on my car, all of my liveries I should say, in my library. Now, those of you who have listened to my broadcast before know that what I don't do is I don't generally share the liveries I create. Now, some of you may think that's good and some of you may think it's bad. I am quite happy for people to think that it is a good thing or for people to think that it's a bad thing that I don't share. But the reason that I don't share is that the whole idea of the liveries is about your own creativity, and I have touched on this before, so I won't say too much. In my mind, if I share my liveries with everybody, then everybody just copies them, and I'm stifling creativity, because all of a sudden those people that are on the game that could go and create their own livery or liveries don't. And I don't want to be one of those people that do that. So that's why I don't share. But tonight is about showing you the cars and the liveries, and maybe talking a bit about the designs. I'm not sure how long I'll broadcast for tonight, but I will broadcast. Now, I've jumped on a bit earlier than I anticipated, and I couldn't help myself. This car came up on the screen as one of the new models in the recent updates, and I'd noticed this week on Monday night and Tuesday night, I think in particular, tons of people had gone and grabbed one and were driving them around. Some had gone and put liveries on and some hadn't. Anyway, that's by the by. So when it came up on the screen, I thought, oh, alright, I'll grab one and I'll do a livery. And tonight I'm trying to do something a little bit different, as you can see with this particular Camaro. Anyway, I'm going to continue with it. I'm not going to finish it tonight, but I can show you a bit of what I've done already. I've probably spent about 30 minutes so far on this, and I'm just trying to do something a bit different. So you can see the bonnet with the big bonnet scoop. In case you didn't notice, it's actually an engine cover as well, so you can see the bonnet there. So I'm a bit of a fan for lines. Those of you who've noticed any of my liveries will see that. I think it's a very effective style. It's a good way to introduce different colour schemes. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm going to go with a two-tone, separated by this arch line, if you like, series of arches. So at the moment I need to fill in all the two-tone blue at the bottom. I'll then have a look at it once it's all done to decide whether the two colours suit each other as a two-tone exercise. I had initially thought I'd do the bottom part in white, but I've opted for this blue, so I'm just going to keep going with it and see how I go. So as I said, I'll probably spend about 15 minutes doing this, and then I will jump into some of the other cars that are already completed and talk a bit about each of those cars from the design perspective. But it's really more about giving you the opportunity to see the car. So I'll go into preview mode, I'll circle around it so you can see it from all angles, see the liveries, see the logos or the decals as they call them, have a good look at the colour schemes, etc, etc. So, nothing too exciting going on right now. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves while I do this. I'm just filling in the gaps now, basically, of the bottom tone. And I thought this shape would be a suitable one to apply and use to fill in the blanks. This is an easy thing to do, what I'm doing right now. I'm just basically going to duplicate on each side of the car until I fill in all the bottom section with the blue colour. And I'm not doing it in any particular order because I'm just doing it fast. It'll get trickier as I get closer to those edges in the arches, but that shouldn't be too hard because I just use a circle to do that. I do have to do the front bit though, so okay, front section. Need to zoom in a bit for this, and it's going to be a bit trickier because, oops, gone too far. Yeah, it's a very subtle colour difference when you're looking from a distance. I want to kind of stop it there, right at that front edge there, if you can see it. But I don't want that part there to be used. I have to spin it like that. Yeah, that's going to work better, isn't it? Anybody that's watched previous broadcasts knows that I talk a bit about being finicky. Gone too high again. Now that's coming up. Okay, I'm going to have to do a different shape for this front bit. What I'm going to do is shrink it down a lot, as you can see, and let's do parts, and so it's going to be a bit trickier, a bit more time consuming, I guess, but what I'm after is a good result. So just finding the size that works. Those of you that aren't familiar with what I'm doing, what you can see is that the paint is underlying the red and the light blue. It's because they use a layer protocol, I guess, in terms of the way the colours appear on the car. So if I click out of this, there's the layers. That's the order of the layers from the very start of all the little decals that I've put on. All of these. So I'm up to, in this section which is body, you can see on the left, I'm up to 40 decals on the body. What I'm going to do now is continue this front part, which is the more finicky part to do. And I'll get this finished as quickly as I can for you guys. I'm okay with that. Alright, now I'm going to fill in the bit behind this little air bit. You can see that blue just in there, up in here. So I'm just going to try and navigate. I might need to do two lots here because that's curvy up the top part and the layers underneath, so that makes it trickier as well. Okay. I think I'll need a curvy bit there to fix that up. Duplicate on reverse, and then that'll be that done. And now I need a new shape to finish this part. I can probably get away with a half circle. It's always a good idea when you start to get finicky to leave it in the default white color, because you're not having to worry about the background. I think that'll cover it, pretty sure. Yep. Might just pull it in a bit, tip it a bit. Try to keep that, all that, yeah, see next to that, yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. Bend around a bit. I think that's okay, I think I can live with that. I'll zoom out just to get a better look. I think we're good. Where are we? Yeah, okay, happy with that. Should get the front end covered now. Yep. Okay. Save time, I'm going to use that piece here as well. I can manipulate the shape to make it longer. I've got a bit more work here to do, haven't I? See, it's a lot bigger. What I'm trying to do is just fill it all up in one piece. basically. It's quite difficult trying to get the shoe shapes to match. I've stretched it out a bit, I know, and it's causing a bit of angst. I can probably bend it back a bit. I'm just manipulating the edge of the shape to try and get it to the same radius as the red line. I'm not having much success, I have to admit. If I tip it that way, that doesn't help me. You can see what I mean about it. If it was white, this would be so much easier than the current blue colour. I'm going to have to go for a couple of these, I suspect. So that's okay. I always go for the duplication on reverse. It, I don't know, call it habit, call it being over obsessive maybe. I don't know what the word is, but yeah, I'm just gonna go down here. Good. That should take care of that front arch. Yep, that's okay. I'm going to drag it and spin it. Just manipulating with the joystick controls here to that's a new piece of music that I haven't heard on here before, and frankly I wish I wasn't hearing it now. Feedback for Sony or Gran Turismo Sport, not great music. Yeah. Okay, that looks okay. Sorry if this is tedious. I said I wouldn't do too much of it. I do just want to try and get this bottom tone done before I move away from this. Just want to see what it looks like. Happy for anyone that wants to comment and give me their thoughts on the colour scheme. Still haven't decided whether to do a final arch at the back, because I don't think with the length of the arches, and again I should have maybe practiced on it and got the length right. I don't think there's enough room for a full arch, and I'm worried how that'll look. I could probably do it and have it trailing up to the tail lights, but yeah, my first instinct was to not do the last bit. Almost done. Just the tiniest little bits to fill now, as you can see at the bottom of these arches, and I'm going to use a circular line to do that. again, they're finicky, but they're the only thing that will effectively do the job, I think. See how I make it small. I might need to do multiples of them. That's really the only way you can do it. Make sure that you don't go over the lines. So what I'll have to do here is multiples. Expect that. Time's ticking, I know, folks. I know, I appreciate your patience. I'm just trying to get this done. Any of you out there that... Oops, what did I do then? Sorry, I just noticed up here that the line hadn't done its job properly. Running repairs. Trying to save time here, trying to fatten the line up a bit, but it's not working for me. We are almost there. Sincerely apologise for this flaky, finicky steps. But this is what you go through if you want to do, you know, a livery. It's yeah, it's just what you have to do. I think I'm done. Not so sure about it. I think it would have better impact if it was a different colour. A white or a yellow or a pink even. Not that I'm a pink fan, but anyway. I'm going to save it because it needs work. I'm not over the moon about it yet. So I'll save it. And I'll take you through, I'll probably cover off about 10 or 15, see how I'm going for time. And I think the best way to do it is just by manufacturer and alphabetically. So I don't know how far that will get us tonight. I will do probably about another 33 minutes of broadcasting, and yeah, we'll see. So what you'll notice if you ever do this, or you already have your PlayStation and you're doing it, is the more cars you do liveries for, the ever increasing time the platform takes to save those cars. Yeah. So as a result, it takes a lot longer to save the cars now than it did when I started off and I had 5 or 10 liveries done. Alright, out of here and over to the library. So this is where you can go to look at all your cars, basically. You'll see that I had some photos there. You'll see that there are what appears to be multiple versions of the same car. That is because once you do a save on a livery, it actually saves it at that level of the livery being completed. So you can see there, these two cars, that one there looks a lot more complete than this one does. And up here you can see it with the Camaro too. You can see that they're not all as complete. Down here with this car, and you see this Ford here has got 3 different pictures. Okay, now I thought I could sort the library by manufacturer, but it doesn't appear I can. Anyway, this is a fairly new car. It's a Bugatti Chiron, which is the very latest car, and this is a race car version of it. It's a Group 1 race car, which basically the Group 1s stem from the Le Mans categories of race cars. You've got Group 1, Group 2, Group 3 and Group 4, and then you've got Prototype, but they've now grouped Prototype in with Group 1 is my understanding. I'm happy to be corrected on that. So yeah, I did this livery last night. As you can see by the livery, there is not a lot of detail or what you would think is complexity around the design, and that's probably a fair statement. I just realised in this mode I cannot show you the roof. I thought I could in preview mode, but it's not letting me tip the car, which is annoying. So you can't see the roof. That's going to be a bit of a pain, because I like to show people the roofs, because I do like to get a bit of detail in the roof. Anyway, it's a very simple colour scheme. You've got a chrome main colour paint, then you've got a pearl grey or a charcoal grey skirts, etc. So the side skirts you can see there, which are fairly extensive, the front splitter and the rear diffuser at the bottom here at the back, all done in a pearl grey. And then I've got a red, a bit of white and a bit of black, and that's just to give the colours a bit of contrast between themselves. And I follow that unique lip line of the Chiron, where the A pillar of the vehicle becomes this long circular, well, it's an ellipsoid effectively, shape, that circle shape. And yeah, I've just tried to accentuate that. You're not allowed to change the wheels on this car, which is a bit frustrating because I would certainly like to put a different set of wheels on it just to see what it looks like. I think it could be further enhanced by the look of different wheels, but anyway, it's yeah, I don't mind it. It's not a massively complicated livery, but I think it has some impact, so interested to see what you think. Alright, so what we're going to see is pretty much from a latest to oldest, the way the order is going here. This Porsche I also did in the last 4 or 5 days. Again, I've tried to go for simplicity, and also to try and recall the lime green of the Porsche era. I remember I used to love it. In fact, this lime here that I've got isn't as nice in my mind and my memory as the actual Porsche lime green colour. This is a bit washed, if I can use that term. It's a little bit washed out, the green, whereas I always remember the Porsche green livery was not washed out. It was very, very deep as a lime goes. Again, because it's a road car, not a lot of livery or decals or logos. Simply the Porsche logo in the German colours, which is fair enough. My logo, and obviously a number plate, which I never realised until I started doing the word that "Oh Brute" was turbo backwards. But there you have it, it is. And not a lot to talk about. The line on the side is a standard decal out of the library. The stripes down the middle and on the roof, which we can't get to see because I cannot show you the roof in this mode of operating, was just done by me. It's not the same type of line as the side line. So that's the Porsche. Oops, sorry. Buttons were having a bit of a delay. Okay, this is a SEMA car. SEMA is a car show in the States for customised vehicles. Don't ask me what the SEMA stands for. I think the A stands for auto. That's about as much as I know. This one's got it's a 240Z originally, and then it's been developed as a racing type of car or a street race car. So it has the flared pumped out guards, and it has the cut off guard at the front, which is all about allowing for larger wheels and wider wheels to fit in the car. So as you can see, they're fairly fat, and they also put the wheels and tyres on the most further extreme of the vehicle to try and neutralise the weight transfer and to keep the car planted to the road. Again, not a lot of detail. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the bonnet, but the bonnet actually has a SEMA logo on it. And again, I've tried to go for a different kind of colour scheme here. I've gone through a little bit of a mini white bottom section. You'll see with the Lamborghini that I did also in the last week and a half that it's a similar kind of theme where the bottom of the car is white and the top has a colour on it, and a good contrasting colour. Yeah, so that's that car. This Ford GT I've actually had in my garage for quite a while, but I've not really done anything about it. So the other night I decided, well, I should paint one. So, and I hadn't done a black car for a while, so I settled on a nice black paint, pearl. I always use pearl. Don't ask me why, but I do if I'm doing a one of these paints. I can use a matte, but not very often I do. I just think that the pearl comes off nicer as you see the light hitting the curves of the vehicle. Great 40 or G40 with rate in the middle of it is the number plate. Again, with the number plates, I think I've mentioned this before. Try to be a bit creative, try to be a bit original, so that it's not some boring plate. Somebody can have a bit of a giggle maybe. That's usually the intent of the number plate that I do. I don't know what else to tell you about this, except the stars are just standard shapes stretched out, including the one that's on the front there right at the nose. But obviously the one on the nose, I've added the colour of white in a more prominent way. Sorry, I'm yawning a bit at the moment. That might bring the broadcast to a short end if it keeps up. Yeah, so I was saying the front star is just a stretched star, and you can make that out if you look closely enough. But I just thought I'd go for the white colour at the front there just to give it a bit more of a contrast. Anyway, I hope you've seen enough. Again, I cannot show you the roof. That's very frustrating for me because I like doing the roof. I always try to make the roof good to see so that if somebody's watching you drive around a track and they take that external view, they will see the whole of the livery as well. So yes, I'm a bit disappointed that I am not seeing it. Okay, this is a BMW, and of course those of you who understand what my PlayStation ID name is when I am driving around on the tracks will understand why it is what it is. Again, with this design, I've tried to make it not too cluttered. I know it's a race car, so I could have gone to town with decals, etc. But as you can see by the paint scheme, you're not really in a position to be able to access anything else with the car. So, whilst I apologise that you can't do what you want to do, there's not really ability to do it. So that's the M4. Again, gold chrome finish, a burgundy / purple main second colour, and then highlights with white basically, and then obviously respect to BMW M-Power, so I've gone for a progressive signage on the side of each car, but otherwise I've left it pretty clean. Obviously my ID name on YouTube for you to come and watch these broadcasts. Okay. This one I had a lot of fun doing, although originally it was quite frustrating. It took me a long time to do this livery. This is a Group X car, which is a heavily modified E86 or BRZ, I can't remember which one it is, I think E86. It's got about 1,000 horsepower and it doesn't weigh much. Had a one drive of it, it was interesting. Anyway, so what I've tried to do with this one is, because it's got this real industrial look to it, if you look at the body and you look at the guard, and I thought, maybe I could put a bit of an industrial theme into this design. So you'll see I've got sections on each side, and within those sections I've got a bit of a listing of requirements, and then if I go from that, there's a capability for me to show the bits as objects of construction. So if you look at the doors, which I can't show you because I can't zoom, you'll see there's what looks like screws or screwdriver heads, screw heads sitting there in the door. That's kind of what I mean by just playing around, not going too far and exposing everybody to a negative view, but yeah, I think enough said. Okay, another very basic design with the intention of not cluttering the look of the car given the period of the car. Oh, that's interesting. It's going to let me do different colours. That's the colour it should be. Let me just see what the other colours do look like. That's the colour. That's different. That's more colour. Yeah. Go back to the original. Oh, it's done it to me again. Well, I don't know why it's doing it, but it's doing it. If it does it a third time, I'm going to put it down to something funny going on. Yeah, indeed it is. That's the colour of it. I don't know, I'm in two minds about this car. I always have been. Sometimes I look at it and go, wow. Then other times I look at it and go, yeah, the capacity to do so much better, and you guys, you know, didn't deliver on it, basically. But yeah, it's a simple design. I don't know what I was trying to do in my mind. I think it was a subconscious thing about boats, but yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. So we talked about the Ferrari having to leave. So this is an Aston Martin. It's a Group 3 car. Taking a while to load. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to end it just on the hour. This is the first car I've done where white features so prominently. It probably is about 40% of the livery in total, which is very unusual for me, but I think this car is one of the cars that if you're going to do a white round, then, you know, do it good. So what I've tried to do is pick colours that, you know, keep the white at the centre, but also just give a nice overall look of the car. And likewise with the sponsorship flags, I've tried to position them in such a way that every sponsor feels okay about their livery and where it's located. Okay. The General Lee. Anybody out there know Duke of Hazzards? If you do, then you're probably aware that that's exactly what this car is. So the General Lee, obviously this is a modern iteration of it. General Lee, for those of you who don't know, is a car. It's a 60s model two-door big engined car, and it's a bit of a centerpiece of the show or shows because it features prominently with the two brothers, the Duke brothers I think they're called, I can't remember exactly. People would, you know, perhaps try to steal them, ram them, do all sorts of things. So yeah, this one's a very simple livery. The most extensive part of the livery is on the roof, doing the flag, if you like, on the roof, because the agreement basically didn't say anything to make us worry about us not having our dock crust. But this is a modern iteration of it, so I do plan to do a more traditional version, and the colour will be slightly more red than orange, but it's still a good design, and it's a pity I cannot get the roof to work, because I think you would enjoy seeing what I've done up on the roof too. Okay, so that's the general E. I think rather than talk about it, just letting you have a look is probably a good idea. Okay, moving along. Nissan GTR. Alright, let's load this one, have a look. So as you can see, road car, so again I'm not going overboard with the racing liveries. It's more about the branding. So interesting colour. You can see that the red and white on the side is kind of going with every colour we've looked at. Goes with the red quite nicely. Even with that orange it goes alright. In the black, which is the colour that I want. Okay, moving along, the next one is another GTR, and this is kind of an insight into the design process, particularly when you're doing it off the cuff. This one's a bit different to most, but you'll see in the intro he actually started seeing a girl that turned out to become his fiance. Anyway, this one's not finished, this was just the start of pulling a design together. So I'm going to get out of that one, save some time. You can see how it looked different to that one. A bit of American muscle, yep, why not, we'll have a look. This guy had crashed into me several times when we were racing in a similar car. He didn't have a paint scheme, but yeah, if you see someone coming, guys, just move out of their way, and if you're the one that's coming, move out of their way too. Don't expect them, they're just going to jump out of the way at the last minute and save you the trouble. This is a Camaro, an early 70s Camaro, late 60s Camaro, sorry. Again, I've just gone for simplicity on this one because it's not a vehicle you'd see on racetracks anymore, so. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this, other than to say I was experimenting, I should say, with colours and shapes. So yeah, I don't know whether this one will survive or whether it'll ever come out and compete in a car show. I guess if I see that the judge likes cars that have got pink, it might be a driver to bring it out, but for now I'm not inclined to think it's something I should be thinking about. Oh, Lamborghini. That one's an older livery. I'm not going to go to that one yet. This one's fairly new. This is a very different design. Again, I wasn't quite sure what I was going for, apart from the fact that I wanted to try and play with shapes that were in line with some of the design cues of the Aventador. As you can see, there's lots of angles in the panels, etc., and Lamborghini does a great job of making the cockpit look not too dissimilar to an airplane cockpit. So anyway, so yeah, this is again, not going overboard with shapes or colours, just trying to bring attention to certain parts of the body that would need to be looked at. But other than that, guys, I'll just do one more car and then I'll end this broadcast, but I will go through all of them. I'll remember what I'm up to, and yeah, Audi I already showed you. Don't know what that is. I'm not going to look. I think that's the Audi up there. Yeah, it is. Sorry, no need to look at that. This though is a different Audi, I think. I did this Audi a while back, but I had a different colour, and for whatever reason I jumped into the library one day and just decided I'd flick through the colours, and when I saw this colour on the car I just went, oh, that looks so much better than what the white does that I've used. And yeah, alright, I am going to call it now, because I want to be at my best when I do this, and I'm perhaps not at my best right at the moment, but I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the liveries. I've tried to make what I share about each livery interesting and worth listening to, but if you felt that it wasn't interesting, I do apologise. The next broadcast I'll do, I'll be better prepared and I'll be in a better situation so that I can talk in more detail about the liveries and how I did them. But for now, I just want to say thank you everybody for tuning in or downloading or watching and sharing this. Please feel free to share it to any of your peers and friends. But apart from that, I'll wish you all a good evening or a good afternoon or a good night, a good morning, depending on where you are. And I hope I see you for my next broadcast. Over and out.